Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Texas Motor Speedway for the Gladiator 165. And this is Classic Texas or Legacy Texas, however you want to call it. First constructed in 1996. Same banking in 1 and 2 as what there is in 3 and 4, unlike the current iteration of the track. And we're going to have 30 cars taking on the racing action here tonight. Should be exciting. We've got a couple of new guys out there as well, from what I can see, and a couple of returns as well. Just forgot to open one of my overlays for me. Logan McCannley currently topping practice. Ryan Pizzicami right up there as well. If you look in P10, when it comes across the screen, Corey Steinhauser making a return in the 65 car. Great to see Corey out there having a run. Car on screen, the 11. That's Jimmy. Well, it didn't work for Race Labs apparently. That's Jimmy Cocker. I would have thought it was Crocker, but it's not. We also have the 102. And this is one of the new drivers. This is Brian. And I probably shouldn't attempt to read his last name, but I will try. As I'm looking for our next new driver. I think that's the 17. And I totally... Oh, no, it's not the 17, obviously. There it is, the 07, Brent Reed. So the 102... Jaramillo? That's what I think it is, Jaramillo. So 3 new guys, 1 return. Could be an interesting night. Notably, no TJ Crampton, which is a bit of a surprise. Like everyone is preparing for a pit party here. There's the 78, Brian Pizzicami. Right behind him was the 05 of Scott Rickard. There's last week's race winner as well, just in the back of shot. Now the front of shot, the 4, Jaron Sanchez, league founder. What an emphatic victory that was. Couple of cars going slow down there on the apron, wanting to get towards the back. Have a look at the Corey Steinhauser cars. We haven't been able to see it for a couple of seasons. There it is, just behind Mark Pentakoff. Green and black design. Autism awareness on the hood. Generally runs some of our foundation sponsors on the car. Corey Cook going to lead us away for the pit party here though. On his outside, I think that's Reggie Ortega. We're off and racing. Things looking pretty calm for the moment. Oh. And that's what we're afraid of. We've been hearing a lot from the drivers about loose. A lot of looseness in the cars here tonight. Of course, the Texas setup as, wow, a couple cars getting into the fence. There's Jimmy Cocker. There's a conga line of cars up on the outside wall there too. The 00. It's Jonas Marquez, Scott Rickard, Patrick Orr. Slow car down there on the apron as well. Looking at the 13 of Travis Masia. It's behind him, Joe Salama getting underneath of last week's winner, Jaron Sanchez. Jonathan Hernandez trying to get around the outside of him. But with this being Old Texas, there's also a real nasty bump in the middle of 1 and 2 when you're outside of the seam, as straight down to the inside walls. That Baylor there in a 21 car. It's going past. I saw Bruce Steinhauser and Brian Pizzacchemi battling that out at the back of the pack. We're looking at Hernandez. He's trying to pull away from these guys. Up in the fence was Cocker. Feels like I'm saying naughty things the entire time I'm saying his name. So we're going to say it several more times just to be sure that we're getting it wrong. The 9 of Joe Salama coming up to the back of Travis Masia, the 13 Gladiator machine. Obviously he is the naming rights sponsor for tonight's race, as he's on the outside of 3 wide. And then iRacing decided to change to Jonathan Hernandez going around the outside of Jack Sanders in the 25. Got one going through the grass. No Logan Lansford this week either, like what we had last week. Side by side in the background there, I saw Pizzacchemi and Steinhauser once more. Oh, Sanchez was in there as well, and they've had an incident. But yeah, difficult cars to drive tonight is the general consensus. It's my belief that Steinhauser has been driving in Winstell with a few of the other guys here. So Jonathan Hernandez, a regular Winstell driver. Oh, there's another crash. Oh, the big time airtime there for the 15 of Campbell. Corey Cook's another one who runs in Winstell. Chris Champeau, he's another one. Matt Sisler. Of course, Christian Budd. He's one of the head honchos over there at Winstell, one of the admin team. Looks like Sisler has just joined the fray and gotten a couple laps in. Just waiting on Andrew Griesbaum to do the same. As very loose, 12 of Chris Champeau. And he body slammed the crap out of Corey Cook there. Well, Brian Pizzacchemi there on the inside of the track with a lot of damage by the looks of things. Either that or he's holding on to the brake for dear life. We're looking at Jimmy Cocker as he goes around Brent Reed. We've got 2 rookies in one screen. It's weird because the '07 of Brent Reed, he's got a light blue car, but his number in my little camera selection software here is red. So that's a weird one. Had Failor, Jonas Marquez on screen now. Jonas in P8, Thad in 16th. In fact, I'm wrong. Thad's in 4th. Don't know where I was looking. There's Masio getting around Reed, and then immediately putting it into defense coming out of turn 4. That's Logan McAnally. Looks like he's got it wrong coming off turn 4. Went for a big slide through the grass. Chris Champeau bullying Mark Pentecoff there a little bit. Jonas Marquez looking real smooth. Jack Sanders, I just noticed, in 9th position. Good result for him so far in practice. There's Watson down in 20th. Sanchez in 21st, so that's just not looking good for him. Thomas Harmon in 24th. And Campbell 25th. Reggie Ortega in 27th. So these guys obviously not getting the best of the track conditions out there. Andrew Griesbaum obviously not setting a lap. Time is ticking down. There's 2.5-ish minutes left in the practice session here. We've got a 3.1k soft, 25 degrees Celsius ambient temperature with 51% humidity. The wind is northwest at 27 kilometers an hour. So that's blowing from the back straight to the front straight. And track temp 36 degrees Celsius. Back 35 now, just dropped one. But we're looking for that temp to come up in quali and possibly even for the start of the race. We look at Ken Campbell and Joshua Banks navigate their way through turns 1 and 2. In fact, that's 3 and 4. So my software lied to me. I don't even know how it gets it that wrong when it's a replay. Now let's see, Joshua Banks on a long run right now, 21 laps on his tyres. Steinhauser with 12. There's Reed with 9. And Slama was 7. As Austin Collins goes for a big spin through the grass, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have your starting grid for the Gladiator 165 right here from the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway. welcome back to the Texas Motor Speedway. As you can see, qualifying is complete, and it is time for us to check out the grid here for the Gladiator 165. We're just waiting for the session to tick over and people to start getting onto the track. On the pole, it is going to be the 2-car of Reggie Ortega. It's going to sit it on Kyle. Out of P2 will be the 74 of Austin Collins. P3 will be the 7 of Kyle Kraus. For P4, the 3 of Austin Dan. P5 will be the 88 Jonathan Hernandez. With P6, the 9 of Joe Slama. P7 will be the 11 of Jimmy Cocker. With P8, the 89 of Matt Horton. P9 will be the 19 car of Logan McAnally, with P10, last week's winner, the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. And 11th, we have Joshua Banks. 12th, Scott Rickard. 13th, Matt Sisler. 14th will be the 15 there, Ken Campbell. 15th, James Watson. 16th, Thomas Harmon. 17th will be Clayton Ward. 18th, Mark Pentacuff. 19th, Travis Massio. 20th will be Brent Reed. 21st, the 12 of Chris Champeau, with Jack Sanders in 22nd. Andrew Griesbaum in 23rd. Corey Cook in 24th. Thad Failer 25th. Patrick Orr 26th. Corey Steinhauser 27th. Brian Pizzicami 28th. Jonas Marquez 29th. And Brian Jaramillo in 30th position. As it looks like all cars are on the track. R1. We're just waiting on Jaramello, and it looks like he's not going to make the grid. So that's the way it's going to be. Jaramello not making the grid. 110 laps. 165 miles. They make their way down the back straight. See, the lights are already out on the pace car, which means we're going to be going green this time by. Make their way into turn strain 4. Remember, the first start is on green. All the restarts will be on the leader inside of the restart box. The pace car makes a hard left turn into pit lane. And we don't have to wait until after the tri-oval, because we are off and racing. And Reggie Ortega with a really good start there. Just pulling his nose out ahead of the 74 of Austin Collins. Kyle Kraus looking to slot into P2 there. See if the momentum rests with Collins on the outside. Austin Dan was looking to take it 3 wide momentarily, but backed out a bit. And it looks like Collins will maintain the second position, using the momentum off a turn 2. I did see a 3 wide there. Not quite sure who was in it. And I guessed wrong. I think it was Matt Sisler that was in it. Yep, it was. Let's see who else was in it. Possibly Ken Campbell. And now the fun begins with how loose these cars are. Looks like for the most part the front of the field has single filed out. A couple of moves are being made though, as McAnally gets to the inside of Cocker. and it takes over the 7th position. I'm going to pick her up so you can have a look at where everyone is at. And at the 05 of Scott Rickard there as he's trying to make his way through the field. So too the 89 of Matt Horton. Oh, and I think Banks might have just tapped the wall there coming out of turn 2. Short term, it'll tighten up the car a little bit. And the long term, it'll weaken some of the components there on the right side of the car. And make them prone to failure. And it does seem like, unfortunately, Brian with an I has not made the call and will not participate in the race. Might have had to go for a nervous poop and just decided it was already too late to return. As the 05 of Scott Rickard gets underneath of Cocker. Putting Cocker now into the 9th position. But Banks is right there as well. I'll tell you what was weird though was seeing Thomas Harmon starting out of the 16th position. See a couple of people getting some green times under their name, setting their fastest lap for the race so far. The fastest lap done so far was by Austin Collins in P2, 29.645. It looks like there's a little bit of separation going on as well now. On the little mini map I've got, there's 2 clearly defined packs and one just off in the distance behind. Can't quite tell who that is. I'll probably have to wait for it on the ticker. As Banks now gets to the inside of Cocker. Just in front of them, they're going 2 by 2. Or McAnally making moves there in the 19 car as he got around Rickard. Now looking at Hernandez and Salama ahead, who are still side by side. Neither of them wanting to give up the fight there. Let's set the camera to look anywhere and everywhere. See if we can get some action on the camera. Because of how loose some of these cars are looking, I don't think it'll be too long before we get that first caution. I think we might get a few of them. Oh, it's McAnally. Got very loose there. He's going for a trip through the grass. And it looks like he's managed to keep it off of the pit lane there, which is very important. And he's managed to continue on. Probably have a bit of grass up in his grill. He's going to have a lot of ground to try and catch up now. And I don't think he'll be the last person mowing the grass here on the front straight. I think that's going to be quite the common theme that we're going to see. That's the front of the pack. Spears down into turns 3 and 4. I can't remember in the newer version of Texas where it was 1 or 2 or 1 and 2 or 3 and 4 that's been reprofiled. I'm pretty sure that it's 3 and 4 that was reprofiled. Had a little bit more banking added to it. Most cars can pretty much go flat out straight through it. Just a little bit of lifting required for 1 and 2. As the 11 of Cocker loses another position there. That time it was Matt Horton in the 89 car. See the track temp up in 41 degrees. Ambient temp still 26, so the track very hot right now, which won't be helping these drivers out with that loose condition that they're mostly feeling. Oh, and I can see some slowness in the back. 21 car is involved. Caution's out. Had failure. What's happened here? I think I've taken it back a little bit too far, but that doesn't matter. Oh, he's gotten loose coming off a 4. He's just managed to keep it off of Jack Sanders there. It goes and mows the grass now. Gets a little bit of airtime. Oh, you see he's still sliding there because of the couple of little jumps that he got from transitioning off the grass. Oh no, straight into the door of Steinhauser. Just saw the 18 there. Looks like he gets through it nicely. Lots of scrapes and bruises on the Steinhauser car. Oh, we didn't see that one. Brent Reed. Oh, nowhere to go. Straight into the right rear of the Thad Failure car. And that's destroyed the right rear of it. Let's back this up. Have a look at it from the cockpit of the Reed car. There's a crash happening up ahead. Oh, you see, tried to get it slowed down, and then just last minute, Thad's car came down the track. Brent with nowhere to go. Oh, that's unfortunate. The 3 cars involved in that one. Thad Failure, Corey Steinhauser, and Brent Reed. Reggie Ortega still leading the way here on lap 16 of 110. And it looks like we're going to have pretty much everyone coming in for pit stops. Baylor and Reed already in the pits. Steinhauser managed to catch up to the back of the pack there. But maybe not so much damage on the 65 car. So many bad camera angles here. Oh, Austin Collins slid through his box and just about all the way into Reggie's box there. Reggie gonna lead us on out of the pits. Austin Dan in the 3 has come into 2nd. Austin Collins has lost 6 positions there on pit road, falling down to 8th. See Steinhauser still in, getting some damage fixed. In fact, he's just come out of the pits. Brent Reed still in the pits as well. And I don't see Thad. I think Thad is out, which is unfortunate. As we get back into 2x2 formation. So it's Reggie Ortega, Austin Dan, Jonathan Hernandez, Kyle Kraus, Joe Slama. And then it is Scott Rickard, Austin Collins, Ken Campbell, James Watson, and Jimmy Cocker. That is your top 10. I don't believe there's actually a dedicated restart zone painted down on the track here. I guess whoever's the leader has to just make common sense with markings they can see on the wall and stuff. And we're underway. So there was a couple of markings on the wall there. Reggie Ortega with a good restart. Pulls very clear of Austin Dan, who slots into second. Jonathan Hernandez moves up into third. A lot of action going on behind. Austin Dan actually trying to take the lead away there. He's getting very close to the back of the Reggie Ortega car. Dan looks like he's going to be unable to make the move. He's just going to have to stay there in second for now. Fresh air can mean a lot to some of these cars. Some would probably argue being in the dirty air is a little bit better. Because the dirty air will make your car that little bit tighter, as there's a little bit of contact between Banks and Collins. Couple of cars putting in their fast laps at that very lap. Yeah, Steinhauser still circulating. He's in 24th. As James Watson trying to make a move on McAnally, but McAnally, look at the outside run he got there. As darkness descends upon the track with a little bit of cloud cover. Track temp has come down to 37 degrees Celsius. The track should be a little bit faster than it was previously. Well, at least in theory, it should be a little bit faster. Looking through the field there, here's the 12 of Chris Champeau, currently in the 18th position. As we're nearing lap 30, I think stage break. Well, the stage is at lap 35. There's no break for the stage here in output. Everyone thunders down into turns 3 and 4 once more. Jaron Sanchez, league founder, down in 17th position. Just in front of Chris Champeau here. Last week's winner, Jaron Sanchez. Andrew Griesbaum down at the back of the pack. He might have gone on a lawn mowing expedition. Just a couple behind Chris here. I can see the 78, Brian Pisacami. He's making some good progress right now, up in the 20th. He started towards the back on the outside of Steinhauser. So 05 of Scott Rickard has moved into second and also taking the fastest lap of the race. Got a 29.302. See, most lap times at the moment have fallen into the 30-second bracket. Especially for these cars at the back. And it looks like Reed is out as well. So we're left with just 27 cars in this race. The 1 DNS and 2 DNFs. And now Chris Champeau makes the move on Jaron Sanchez. Has got the slowing 44 of Clayton Ward as well. Sanchez looks like he's going to lose out on a few positions here. Quite a few cars getting underneath him. Actually surprising no one tried to play the strategy game there and stayed out under that caution. I guess everyone's tires just felt so evil that they had no choice but to do it. As Austin Dan has retaken second place from the 05 of Scott Rickard. Saw James Watson on the inside of the 12 of Chris Champeau just smashed the fence coming out of turn 2. And look at Matt Horton going for a big sweeping move. Almost got boxed in behind Chris, decided to dive right down to the inside of the track to get around a 39 of James Watson as well. As that is Matt Sisler mowing the grass now along the front straight. No caution, he's got it gathered up and going again. They're almost into uncharted territory. That first run was about 15, 16 laps. And we've just clicked over 16 laps complete. So we had a 3 wide moment there with Horton, Watson and Champeau. And Pisacami trying to get in on that battle as well. Running the high line. I guess the high line there in 1 and 2 is not bad as long as you can keep it off that bump in the middle of the corner. That'll be slowing you down if you hit it. And this is a gaggle of cars. This is our entire first 6 cars, as it looks like Freddie Ortega was massively under pressure there from Austin Dan. To the inside, Dan goes. And it's still Reggie Ortega Just a quick side note, P10. Logan McAnally, after mowing the grass earlier, he's now worked his way into P9. Scott Rickard got real close to the fence there, coming out of 2. He's opened up the door for Ken Campbell to get underneath him. Campbell doesn't need a second invitation. He said it's soup time. And Scott had to respect it. You can't not respect soup time. We're still sitting here with our top half dozen or so. See Banks trying to get to the inside of Hernandez as Hernandez phased into an alternate dimension there for a minute. Like he's got it sorted up again. And we've got one car in the pits. Just trying to see who that is. I think that's a 7 of Kraus. Was showing a lot of promise early. Unfortunately, it looks like he might be out of this race. It's got one car right off the back of the field. Can't quite see who the number is. I'll have to check it when it comes across on the ticker across the top of the screen. It'll be whoever is in 26th as Kraus just exited stage left. Track temp going back up to 40 degrees. That's Sanchez. 4 car that's right off the back of the pack. I think we're going to take the opportunity here to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, more racing action will be coming up for you shortly. Welcome back to the Gladiator 165 here from the Texas Motor Speedway, and we're looking at the gyro cam of the 05 Scott Rickard, although this is a very, very poorly placed camera. So we're going to go back to outside pictures, and Ken Campbell in the break has taken the lead. You can see Austin Dan slipped up into second, and now Joshua Banks has moved up into third. Richie Ortega moved all the way back to fifth after a sick 3-wide move. from Ken Campbell and Austin Dan to get around the 2 car. But now it's time that we pose a very important question, and that is pit stops when? Because obviously we haven't had another caution, and we are edging ever closer to the pit stop window. In fact, we are at half race distance in 9 laps time when they get to the line. And knowing the output track record, we might not get another caution, or we'll get a very late caution, which would be too late for everyone to pit. So I'll have to wait and see what is going to unfold here about when everyone's going to pit, as Joshua Banks dives to the inside of Austin Dan. This is in turn string 4, trying to take that second position away. Can't quite get there. Austin Dan with the momentum holds on to it for the moment. Reggie Ortega and now Logan McAnally have both gotten around the 05 of Scott Rickard. Austin Dan shuts down any avenue of attack from Joshua Banks there. Although Banks, from the center off, got his nose back up in there. Dan's fighting a very hard battle here against Banks. And Banks has finally prevailed and has taken over the second position. Another thing some of these leaders are going to have to start thinking about is the possibility of lap traffic. Just having a look, and Darren Sanchez less than 10 seconds ahead at the front of the pack here. He might fall victim and start going laps down here shortly. As Joshua Banks trying to take the lead away now from the 15 of Ken Campbell. Campbell just going to hold on at the line. Joshua Banks really strong on that inside line. And that outside line, if you haven't run it much, can be very difficult to run, especially if you just slip up a little bit too high, as there is someone in the pits, and I do believe that is the 4 of Jaron Sanchez. He decided to pit before he became prey, and just before the halfway mark. Still Ken Campbell holding on to the lead there. And McAnally, after dropping down to what must have been about 20th position. Not just in the top 5, but battling for 4th. Still side by side they go through turns 1 and 2. 35 right down on the white line, the 15 on the apron. They're going 3 wide behind. They got that sorted out now. They're still side by side ahead for the lead. It's still Ken Campbell leading, and now they single file out. Yeah, running about, well, at least Ken, running about a metre off of that inside line there. Joshua started about the same distance off the inside line and then went right down to just about touching it on the exit of 2. Got a good run as well. Sneaks back up on the inside, still just Ken Campbell at the line. As we now have officially reached the halfway point. 55 down, 55 to go. Campbell was in danger territory there in the middle of 1 and 2, drifted a little bit high of the seam and just about caught the little hump that's there. That'll definitely spit a couple of cars out to the wall, especially as tyres start wearing out. Sanchez is still in the pit, so he might have some major damage on the 4 car. That is quite unfortunate for last week's winner in the first to last challenge. First last week, and last out of the cars still running right now. Mark Pentacuff, just 9 seconds up the road. Joshua Banks pulling away with it now. He's actually getting a bit of a gap going. So we'll set the camera back to focus on crashes. See where it leads us. And we haven't strayed too far away. We're still looking at Austin Dan, who's in the 5th position. Banks now out to a half a second lead over Logan McAnally, who's gotten around Ken Campbell. Campbell now down to 3rd. I can see Jimmy Cocker starting to make some moves as well. He's moved up into 5th, just in front of Austin Dan. As we're looking at the back end of the top 10 here. This is Jimmy Cocker just ahead of Austin Collins and Thomas Harmon. Scott Rickard dropped down to 8th. Thomas Harmon actually plus 12 at the moment from where he started. So no, he's plus 10. He started in 16th. If he can get around Cocker and Ortega, then he'll be plus 12. Jonathan Hernandez once more experimenting with some alternate dimensions. And we have a pit stop as the 44 Clayton Ward has gone to the pits. It's 3 wide. Ortega in the middle of Harmon and Cocker. And Ortega is going to go to the pits this time as Cocker got loose and let Thomas Harmon through. Austin Collins getting through as well. Austin Dan's made a pit stop at some point. Look at him flying through the field. Or Mark Pentecoff was in the pits. Jaron Sanchez still in the pit lane as well. We've got another one coming into the pits. Can't quite tell who that one is. Not sure, I'll find out shortly. Austin Dan gets around the 05 of Scott Rickard. Ken Campbell's pitted. And just look at the way Austin Dan is flying through the top of the field here. He's going to get himself unlapped very quickly. That's just the speed difference on tyres. The tyre fall off pretty immense. About 2 seconds off. So 2 seconds, that's the fall off time at the moment. As we had another take for the pits, and that was the 12 of Chris Champeau. Another one coming into the pits. Didn't see who that was. All I saw was that it was a red car. I think it was Hernandez. Masia also in the pits. The 78 Brian Pizzicami right behind Corey Cook, and it looks like Corey Cook has pitted. He might have been that one that I couldn't identify earlier. The Champeau flying through the field now with his fresh tyres. Austin Dan has officially unlapped himself. There's Jack Sanders in the 25 car. He's currently 13th. That's the way it is on track. So Reggie Ortega's just come out of the pits. Actually, no, Reggie's still in the pits. I think Reggie got a penalty. He's been in there for over a minute. And it looks like Banks has just come into the pits now. That's left Logan McAnally in the lead of the race at the moment. Few takers for the pits now. See Rickard, Watson, Sisler, Patrick Orr, they're all in the pits. Still just the 3 retirements, the 1 did not start. McAnally and Cocker have pitted this time. So pit stops coming thick and fast now. Thomas Harmon, who did lead that last lap, he's just come into the pits. At least Horton in the lead of this race. I think Horton, yep, he just led that lap. Austin Dan just started working his way around the 65 of Steinhauser. He is the first car to have pitted. Corey Cook getting a little bit balked here, going 3 wide with Champeau and Collins. Now they go back down to 2 by 2. Horton comes into the pits. Steinhauser comes into the pits now. So just a few cars left. It's Ward, Slummer, Pizzakemi, Griesbaum, who are yet to pit, and Campbell. Surprised Ken Campbell stayed out for so long. Actually, no, Campbell did pit. What am I talking about? I'm an idiot. So yeah, it's just the 5 cars left to... Sorry, the 4 cars left to pit. Now 3 as Joe Salama has pitted. There's Ward, Pizzakemi, and Griesbaum. Ken Campbell is a corrected P2 right now. Joshua Banks in 3, Logan McAnally in 4th. 88, Jonathan Hernandez once more experimenting with alternate dimensions. There is Griesbaum being overtaken by Dan. And Pizzakemi, the next one on the list. Horton goes around him as well. Horton trying to get what would be his lap back from Austin Dan. Still just 3 cars who have not pitted. And does not look like we're going to get that caution, as now Pizzakemi peels off into the pits. Even just Ward and Griesbaum to pit. We're looking at Banks, who is in P6, so now P5. That'll be corrected to P3 after Griesbaum and Ward pit. And Ward comes in this time. Leads just Andrew Griesbaum, but Austin Dan leading the way. Austin Dan with 16 laps on his tyres right now. Campbell with 13. Griesbaum with 62. Banks with 8 and McAnally with 7. So McAnally has the youngest tyres of the top 5. Obviously, Griesbaum with the oldest. Without Griesbaum, then Austin Dan would actually have the oldest. And that's with factoring Austin Collins in a corrected top 5 situation. As Harmon gets to the inside of the Cooking Monster himself, Corey Cook. Right behind him, Jimmy Cocker. I hear Cocker comes from Shake and Bake, which is a series that a couple of the drivers run. I think Harmon, Pizzakemi, Sisler, and possibly Rickard run that league. And Griesbaum still has not pitted yet. He's fallen back to P5 on track. He's 8.7 seconds off the lead and falling. And at this rate, he's going to go at least a lap down. At most 2. We're looking at Banks. He's got Patrick Orr and Logan McAnally on his tail. McAnally's for position. Patrick Orr is a lap down. Austin Collins, who's looking at passing Griesbaum for position. I think now is going to be a great time for us to go to our final commercial break. When we come back, we will be going to the checkered flag. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Welcome back to the Gladiator 165 here from the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway, and we're looking off the back bumper of Austin Dan, who's looking at the 15 of Ken Campbell. This is the gap between P1 and P2, 1.3 seconds is the gap, as Clayton Ward on the last lap set his fastest lap of the race. Got Rickard still with the fastest lap overall with a 29.302. Clayton Ward actually just passed Ken Campbell while we're transitioning back to track cameras, because he just got around Ken Campbell to try and unlap himself. There's Thomas Harmon on screen, currently in P6. And laps are ticking down very quickly here, as we're just about complete lap 88. Means 22 laps to go. There's Brian Pisacami in his 78 car, looking to get underneath Patrick Orr. And he got there. I think Patrick Orr's a couple laps down here. Down in 24th. Whereas Pisacami in 20th. Pisacami on the back of McAnally. And he'll be looking to try and get his lap back as we're looking at McAnally. We'll want to be trying to charge towards the front. Had good end of the run pace there before we got all our green flag stops going. So let's see what he can do now that he's on a shorter run. McAnally gets around Banks. That was for the third position. '65 is Steinhauser, not too far behind this as well. Steinhauser in the 21st position. Ken Campbell up ahead, battling side by side with Austin Dan. That's a tale as old as time in this race. And Campbell just snookered the lead away on that lap. Austin Dan now running the very high line there. That bump in the middle of 1 and 2 got him unsettled. Here comes McAnally now to the inside of Austin Dan. What can McAnally do? Let's actually look out the gearbox here at the 15 cars. Here comes McAnally. Right up to the back. Back to the outside cameras. McAnally to the inside, and he didn't have the lead that time, but he's going to take it after the fact. As the three of Austin Dan dives right back down underneath the Ken Campbell. Campbell's going to hold on to second, but McAnally starting to run away with the lead already. Look at the gap he's got. McAnally is just absolutely flying right now. I think we can get a few more laps of just focusing on crashes here. And it's gone back to Joshua Banks, who is in fourth, looking to get underneath of Austin Dan for third. And he will do so. Just behind him, the 78, Brian Pizzicami. He'd love to try and get his lap back, but he wouldn't want to interrupt this battle either for the podium getters. This is the battle for the last two steps on the podium. Oh, it's big time into the fence was Austin Dan. I think Dan's going to have to concede here, as Banks gets to the inside of Campbell. Campbell going to try and fight it out. Banks with 5 lap fresher tyres than Campbell. Banks now going to run away with it as Pizzicami gets onto the tail of Campbell. Said Pizzicami trying to get his lap back. He'll get to the inside this time. And it turns out the 78 made his pit stop on lap 78. So go figure. We're going to go through the field once more. The 11 laps to go at the line. Means time is ticking down in this race. Times for most people already dropped off quite considerably. I think McAnally locked in mortal combat with one of the lap cars right now, trying to get them a lap down, and he did. The 25 of Jack Sanders. So we now have 10 laps to go. But what a run this has been for McAnally. He's got a 2.2 second lead now over Banks. This is after he got dropped down to at least 20th position from mowing the grass on the tri-oval here on the front straight. Almost got a pit lane penalty. He was only a few feet away from the pit lane. Track temp's been staying pretty steady at 37 degrees here. That's Celsius, by the way. For all the people who don't value a true measurement system for temperature. Patrick Orr trying to get around Austin Dan. Steinhauser just lurking there as well in the background as Orr got onto the apron. Steinhauser peeking to the outside of Orr. And he rode the bump in the middle of 1 and 2 there quite nicely. And he does get around Patrick Orr. And remember, the closer you are to the fence, the less it's going to hurt when you hit it. That 65 car actually cleaned up quite nicely after that first caution. Steinhauser now stalking the back of Austin Dan. A little bit loose coming out of 2 there though. Steinhauser, superior tire grip, diamonding off the corner, coming out of turn 4. Couldn't do anything with it. We've got 5 laps left, in fact 4.5 now, as McAnally is in the middle of the back straight. There's Thomas Harmon just lurking in the background as well. If Thomas can get around the 2 lap cars of Orr and Steinhauser, then he could be having a crack at Austin Dan here for P4. I'm pretty sure Sanchez is out of the race. He's been in the pits ever since he entered it earlier, just before the halfway mark. Griesbaum just behind the 38 car as well. He has much fresher tyres and he's not afraid to mix it up with the leaders. As Harmon now peeks to the inside of both Orr and Steinhauser. Now he just has 1 target ahead, and that is the 3 of Austin Dan. Griesbaum, I do believe, is actually battling for position with Steinhauser here. He gets to the inside. Steinhauser running a very wide line there. Austin Dan stays in quite close, but he just doesn't quite have the pace. Oh, Steinhauser bounced off the fence and bounced into Griesbaum. Both of them managed to keep it on the straight and narrow. There's a little bit of smoke there in turn 1. Not sure who that was from. But Harmon takes over the 4th position with authority. So we swing back to our leader. He's got Brian Pizzakemi on his tail. But it's going to be white flag, last lap. Last chance to win it or wear it for Logan McAnally. He fires down into turns 1 and 2. Pizzakemi desperately wants to get back on the lead lap here. Down into 3 and 4 for the final time. Your winner of the Gladiator 165 here from the Legacy Texas Motor Speedway is going to be the 19 of Logan McAnally. P2 is going to go the way of the 35, Joshua Banks. P3, Ken Campbell. And P4 is going to be Thomas Harmon. P5 goes away, Austin Dan. Got Jimmy Cocker on debut in P6, Austin Collins in 7. Scott Rickett 8, Chris Champo 9, and James Watson in P10. Logan McAnally right down around the inside of the track, and he's not going to do any celebratory burnouts. Oh, that's a shame. So with that, we're going to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have the driver review here at the end of the race. It is now time for our Autism Awareness Hard Charger Award. And today's Hard Charger, starting all the way down in P16 and finishing in P4, is going to be the 38 car of Thomas Harmon. Now, Thomas put in good solid laps there towards the end of the race and just played the pit strategy pretty well there. I wouldn't say perfectly, but he played it well enough to where he gained a big advantage there towards the end of the race. And obviously, P4, nothing to sneeze at, plus hard charger on top is absolutely great. And I'm sure if he was here for the interview, he'd thank everyone in the league, everyone in the Drivers' Council, and everyone on the hood. But now we're going to move on to our third place getter. And our third place getter is the Superman himself, the 15 of Ken Campbell. See him here on the outside of Joshua Banks. And Campbell just put in a really stout effort here tonight. And he was one away from getting the Hard Charger Award himself. He started the row in front of Thomas and just finished one spot behind him as far as positions gained. Another good solid effort here for Ken. Good solid finish as well. And the Superman looking to do good things towards the end of the season here. And now we're going to move to the car on his inside. As long as I can make sure I hit the right one. That's not it. This is the 35 of Joshua Banks P2. And another one who just put in a really solid effort here tonight. And was there or thereabouts for the majority of the race. And pit stop strategy had him in contention, but just wasn't close enough to the 19 of Logan McAnally, who at this point in time is on the inside of the 2 of Reggie Ortega. But early in the race, we saw it here in the broadcast. He mowed the lawn on the front straight, just about hit the pit lane and got a pit lane penalty. Managed to pull out of it, get back onto the track safely, and come home with a massive victory here. I'm sure Logan will be absolutely wrapped with the victory itself, and hopefully he can carry this momentum into next week. Speaking of next week, we're going to be going to the cornfields for the US Cornfields 165 from the Kansas Speedway. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But until then, I've been your commentator, the Aussie Sim commentator. We'll see you guys in Kansas.